My amplified unit salute SmackDown 7/4/2025, the 4th of July edition for the Blue brand. And because of that, this week's SmackDown was taped right after this week's Raw. Raw with a special start time of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, right after SmackDown was recorded. So BC has the spoilers, I have the results, and we're going to talk about it. And I will be giving you guys my amplified thoughts on this week's show. I will be saving you 2 hours, I assure you. Thank me later. Or now. But you have options, and that's right. By the way, you did hear me correctly. 2 hours, not 3. This week, SmackDown starts at 2 hours every single week. So the USA Network finally listened, and they're making the correct changes. And it sucks to say that, right? As wrestling fans, you would think that, or with everything that you love, you would want more of it. And it's sad to say when something is so bad that you know we need less of it. So since SmackDown went to 3 hours, and for years that Raw's been 3 hours, we've been saying you need to cut at least one of those hours. We need less of these shows. That sucks to say that. These shows should be leaving us wanting more. Cliffhangers that were like, damn, how's the show over already? How did 3 hours go by that fast? They can't handle 3 hours. I assure you, they're not going to be able to handle 2 hours. You'll see. But it's a step in the right direction. SmackDown goes to 2 hours. But I'll still be saving you those 2 hours, man. You have options. You can obviously check out now and come back to the channel after SmackDown goes off the air this Friday night. So that would be funny, right? The review is up on the channel for several days, but you come back Friday night. No issue with that. Maybe it's Wednesday evening or Thursday evening. You're bored, you finally cave in, and you want the spoilers. You want to hear BC talk about the show, so come back later in the week. Or option 3, you just sit back, max relax while BC drops the Blue brand facts. Grab your coffees or your beverage of choice and rip the Band-Aid off. Because with how bad this show is, how bad it is creatively, this company, you might as well just get it done with now. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get this over with. That's why BC's doing this review right now. Because if Raw's going on early last night, if they're getting SmackDown out of the way days in advance, then we shouldn't be sticking around. If they don't care, if they're trying to get it done with, we should do the same. And after this review, BC's saying check you for a while, at least for a week. If they going on vacay mode, BC going on vacay mode, I assure you. Be back before all the big events next weekend. Great American Bash, Evolution, Saturday night's main event, AEW All In. We'll be covering all that. But this is a good time to press that reset button. Get a good refresh. Right? Refresh mode. I think we all need that because this company is that nauseating. This company and the lack of creative is exhausting. What we've been witnessing has been some of the worst pro wrestling decisions I've ever seen any booker ever make. And I've been watching pro wrestling for decades. I've never seen this bad of decision making being made. And again, I say it all the time. I was around for the Doink the Clown era with the Goon and Duke the Dumpster Drosy and the Body Donnas and all those characters, man. I would take that over this in a snap of a finger, blink of an eye. That's how bad it is, man. We went from the golden era to the attitude era to the ruthless aggression era to the exhaustion era. Fans are exhausted by how bad this product is. So yeah, if they're going to get these shows done with early this week, which they just did, SmackDown's already been recorded, then this is a good time for all of us to say check you for a while. We'll all regroup. We'll come back next week, hopefully with a better outlook Hopefully Hunter Hearst Helmsley in WWE has a better outlook going into the summer, especially SummerSlam. But this is what happens, man. When you go for quick money grabs, when you surround AEW, just because you want to screw with them. So you surround them with 3 of your events, one event going directly against them, NXT Great American Bash, that night, Saturday night's main event, the next day, Evolution. What you're doing, obviously, it's called flooding out in business. You're trying to just flood out your competition, which is interesting because WWE always said AEW is not competition. But Nick Khan loves, and Hunter Helmsley loves to take their talents. Mariah May, Ricky Starks, Penta, Fenix, Jade Cargill, and so many others. They want all their talents, right? And Nick Khan said, expect us to take more talent in the future. Those were his words. Man, if they're not competition, you love most of their talent. If they're not competition, man, you just put 3 events around theirs, one of them directly against. They're just trying to flood them out. But they forgot one key aspect to all of this. Hunter Helmsley doesn't know how to book for 1 show in a weekend, let alone 3. You want all these money grabs, man. Saudi Arabia Night of Champions, then a quick Saturday night's main event turnaround, an Evolution. You want SummerSlam. You want Clash in Paris a few weeks after SummerSlam. All of this within a 2-month time frame. And there's one big issue. Helmsley not only cannot create for all these shows, he doesn't even care to. He'll still be, with all of these shows that he needs to attend to, you'd think he's locked himself in his office 24/7 for the next 2 months straight. No, he's still doing all the commercial shoots, the voiceovers, the podcasts. He's doing it all, man. He's doing everything but what he's supposed to be doing. Being the chief of content, the head of talent, and creative. And I say all of this because it's a setup to end this opening monologue. I want to spend the rest of this cold open teaser before we even get to SmackDown's review / spoilers this week for the 4th of July. I want to just go over some of the mind-boggling, mind-numbing, pathetic, ridiculous, absurd decisions that were made in the past 2 shows alone. In the past 3 days, 2 shows, Saturday's Night of Champions and Monday Night Raw, which as of this recording was just last night. And I want to just go over some of what Hunter Hearst Helmsley decided to go with. And you tell me how this could ever be approved. How about Saturday Night of Champions? Did you see what they did to John Cena? Swig of coffee for this one. John Cena's out there Saturday. Seth Rollins is coming to the ring with his goon squad. They don't have a name, so I'll just call them the Goof Troop. They don't have a name still. This is what I mean about planning ahead. I said this in a recent upload. I said, could you imagine McDonald's coming up with a new sandwich and they just didn't give it a name, right? They don't know yet. They just had a good idea. What if we add the lettuce in here and an extra cheese here, but add the chicken to the burger? Oh, this could be amazing. Let's get it out for July 4th. Sir, we don't have a name. We don't have the marketing yet. Who cares? Put it out there. Put up some billboards at the actual stores and just name it I'll take the new sandwich. So when people are in the drive-thru, they just say, I'll take the new sandwich. That's what you have to say because there's not a name yet. McDonald's wouldn't do that. They would come up with a big marketing strategy. They'd come up with a name for it. You're going to the movies, man. If Fast and Furious was just coming out, right? They wouldn't just label it the Untitled Car Movie. They probably had in advance knowledge that they wanted to have a badass name to it, right? Fast and Furious. And then we'll send out a marketing blitz. No, you're not going to the theater and asking the clerk to give you a ticket to see the Untitled Car Movie. They don't have a name. But that's another story. Okay, Seth has the same sing-along. Nothing is unique about this group. They added a band of misfits together, added Paul Heyman, who looks like he does not want to be there, and he doesn't even belong there. He doesn't look like he belongs there. There's no chemistry with Seth Rollins. Rollins doesn't even need a mouthpiece. So why is Paul even with... there's so many just... It's not even questions anymore. It's just bad decision making. They don't have answers. But forget all that. So Rollins and his goon squad, his goof troop, they're supposed to be heels, obviously. Cena is supposed to right now be the ultimate heel in the company, even though he only shows up once a month on average. Okay, so here comes on Saturday afternoon, Night of Champions, here comes Seth and his goon squad, and they attack Jonathan Cena. They attack John Cena. I cannot get that image from Saturday, just kind of out of the wrestling realm. Just remembering Cena just like curled in a ball as Rollins' goof troop just attacks him. What are you doing, man? Why would... The booking to get to that point was atrocious enough. And then it's like, listen, we already went this far with this bad of writing. We might as well keep going, right? It's like Helmsley and the suits and ties just said, can't go back now. Have Rollins and them go out there and just beat up John Cena. Heel on heel. Heel on heel attack. And then you switch over to just last night's Monday Night Raw, where heel New Day, your champions, are losing the titles to the heel tag team Judgment Day. Heels took the titles from heels. What was the point of all of this then? Judgment Day already had the titles just a few months ago. They already had the titles. Same two people, I believe. I think it was McDonald's and Balor. So they already had but because you had nothing for them, you had nothing creative, you're just like, let's just pass the titles around. So the New Day ends up having a pretty damn good heel turn, actually, and then they're subsequently kept off TV. They're in some backstage segments, or they come out once in a while and then they try to talk some trash to the crowd maybe. But they didn't capitalize on the momentum from what was actually a good heel turn. They just took that pot of boiling water and they immediately put the lid on it. In fact, no, they took the lid back off and they just doused it down with cold water. Shut the oven and doused it with cold water, then put the lid on it. That's what they did to the New Day fire. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the New Day just wins the championships at Mania. Or maybe it was around Mania, I forget. Because they don't even have titles changing hands at shows anymore, the PLEs. These days, they change hands on the SmackDown before or the Raw after. Even on a show called Night of Champions, you had Julia winning her U.S. title from Zelina Vega the day before. And then the tag titles 2 days after. So, but I think it was Mania where New Day out of nowhere just collected the titles from the Viking Expedition experience. I believe that was the match. I believe. Okay, so then they win the tag titles out of nowhere. You're thinking, okay, maybe now we try to do something with New Day even though the momentum has been derailed. But no, they win the titles and they've had one match in the past 2 months. They were even more irrelevant after they won the championships. And then all of a sudden, not at Night of Champions, because that would make too much sense. It's called Night of Champions. You're about to have new champions. Let's wait till after Night of Champions. In the middle of a Raw, not the main event, in the middle of a Raw, after 2 months of being in obscurity with the titles, heel New Day loses the titles to heel Judgment Day. Heel Balor, heel McDonald's. They were positioned last night like they were faces. And that's because the crowd didn't know who to... They're like heels. They've all been assholes recently. But these audience have like basically ADHD, so they always just want to participate. So they're like, we have to pick somebody. So Balor, I guess, is a little bit more likable. So I guess they went Judgment Day a little bit more. But your audience was still split. Most people in that crowd didn't know what was happening. They were just like, oh, this is action. Action, right? They're waiting for a moment to yell, this is awesome. 2 heel groups, 2 heel teams. Could you imagine that? 2 heel teams and the crowd yelling, this is awesome. They don't even care anymore. They paid so much money for the tickets. They dragged their parents out. They paid all the money for the tickets. And they just want to yeet for 25 minutes and sing along with Seth and yell, "This is awesome." I say that all the time on the channel, but it's so true. I tell you guys all the time, if you guys see a lull in the action, if you're ever watching a match, even if it's just 2 minutes into the match, and the wrestlers are kind of selling, there's a crazy concept, and they're just kind of laying on the canvas for 30 seconds, 20 seconds. So there's a pause in action, basically. Listen closely. The crowd will get so uneasy. It's like uncomfortable silence with today's pro wrestling fans. And they'll just start chanting, "This is awesome," even if it's 90 seconds into the match. But they don't like when there's a pause in action. ADD kicks in, ADHD, I don't know what it is, but this need to break the silence. So they'll just start chanting something, man. Ever since I've been saying that for months, man, a lot of you guys are like, "Damn, BC, I caught that in this match or that match." It happens all the time. So that's obviously what Helmsley's just banking on. Just go out there. He just looks at the wrestlers as just wrestlers now. Not heels, not faces. You're all just wrestler A, wrestler B, wrestler C, wrestler D. And because I don't have stories for you anyway, I never have anything creative, I'm just going to 50-50 book all of you. Because that's what you're doing. When you portray somebody or a team or an entity as a heel or a face, and then you put them with another heel or face, you're just splitting your audience. That's what you're doing. That's common sense. That's logic. So when you see the Judgment Day take the titles from the New Day, all of this you're thinking about instantly. You're like, whoa, what was all of that for the New Day then? New Day was even more irrelevant since they turned heel somehow. I say this all the time, and I half say this like I hope that's not the case. Now I say it, and I believe it is the case. I believe Helmsley is absolutely sabotaging a lot of this talent. What? We gave you the titles. So what do you mean we're doing you wrong? Yeah, you gave them the titles, and you just used them as anchors, not as propellers. Those titles didn't help ascend them anywhere. They were anchors, and they weighed them down till they sunk. And it's almost like that's what he was trying to do. Yeah, see? See, New Day? You're only supposed to come out there and dance and just entertain. Entertain. Remember what he told Booker T? I ain't even going to go over it. But I mean, you tell me it's any different with the New Day. They had a chance to be diabolical, man. A really badass tag team. And he turned them heel. They got a great reaction to it. It was the talk of the town for the next week, and it's like it pissed off Helmsley. And Helmsley made sure from that moment on they were booked like trash. That is sad, man. And then he just takes the titles. And when people go, "Man, you did them dirty," he can turn around now and go, "What do you mean? They were champions." No, they weren't. They were holding extra weight. You gave them anchors, not titles. So now they just can't want more, basically, right? Now they can't want more. Now Hunter can go up to them and see, now put on your fancy colors, go out there with your trumpets and start dancing again. We'll give you boxes of bootios at WrestleMania. Be happy you have a contract. No. A lot of the wrestling world is mind-boggled over that decision that happened just last night from this recording. Judgment Day took the titles from New Day. I still can't fathom that. I was live. I did that review live with my unit on the channel. So I saw that in real time with my unit. I could not fathom that decision was made. And by the way, I missed a super chat in that live stream. All apologies. DB for life, I believe. DB, thank you. As I always say, if I ever miss a super chat, I always get the list after, and I will absolutely give that proper shout out. But DB, I don't have it in front of me, but it was something to the effect of, could you imagine back in the day, like Rick Martel taking on Ravishing Rick Rude or something like that? And it's so true. You wouldn't see that type of, Vince wouldn't book that. Rick Rude, man, this badass heel. Rick Martel, this dude would spray arrogance in your face, in your eyes. Arrogance, a mist, like a perfume or something. He'd spray it right in your eyes and then beat you. That type of heel. So Vince wouldn't just have Rick Martel taking on Ravishing Rick Rude or Earthquake at the height of his heeldom when Earthquake's taking out Hulk Hogan, and him taking out Sergeant Slaughter at Slaughter's top of his heeldom. Sergeant Slaughter, Earthquake. You don't see it. Big Boss Man when he was in the Ministry with The Undertaker. Two bad guys. You wouldn't see Boss Man and Undertaker just facing each other as part of the Ministry. Anyway, it was a really good super chat because it's so true. You wouldn't see this type of booking because McMahon knew that is the type of booking that'll put your company. It'll be a detriment to your company that'll be so hard to rebound from. It'll put your company into the shitter. Vince knew that. That's pretty obvious. But Helmsley just sees all these wrestlers and he doesn't want to, he doesn't even care to remember who's a face, who's a heel, who's what. It's easier for him to just see the whole talent sheet, the whole roster sheet, and just start going, him, her. That's it. That's what he does. That's obvious. Look at every single Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or PLE. You'll see a bunch of situations where it's heel versus heel, or heels in a promo with another heel, face in a face. Not only does it not make sense, but it splits your audience, and it doesn't lead to anything. You can't properly build anybody because you just have your audience split, and the talent doesn't even know what they are. One week they're supposed to talk like a heel, act like a heel. The next week they're supposed to talk and act like a face. So Helmsley is absolutely... he's delivering detrimental booking to the talent, not just to the fans. And then you wonder why so many people are going away in droves. Last night, more, and I've been getting this a lot lately. A lot of you guys telling me, BC, I no longer watch the product. I still stop by and support your channel. Some even channel members, man. Big support. But they don't even follow the product anymore. It got that bad. And then you look at the ratings, and you look at the metrics and the numbers and the statistics, and they're showing you that, yeah, a lot of people are going away in droves. They're done. They've had enough. It's not just bad anymore. It's confusing. None of it makes sense. Who would have thought, right? When you tell your fans, if you don't like what you're watching, you can fuck off. That's what Helmsley said to his own fans. Could you imagine any CEO or any boss, any person that's running a company, or at least he's the head guy? Could you imagine telling the consumers or fans or an audience, the people that buy your product, could you imagine telling them if you don't like it, just fuck off. Don't need your business. In fact, if you don't like it, you're not even a real fan. These are things, actual quotes from Helmsley in the past few months. So you shouldn't be shocked when people are actually like, all right, well, fuck off then. Check you, deuces. We don't need this. With what you're giving us, and then you're going to talk down to us like that? Dude, fuck off. You fuck off. That's what fans are telling Helmsley, and I love it. So it sucks to hear, hey, BC, I don't follow the product anymore, but I still stop by and support the channel. I love to hear that you still stop by. Thank you. But it absolutely sucks that it got to the point where you don't even want to watch the product anymore. But I hear you. I feel you on that. It's that bad. We can deal with bad television, bad creative, bad booking, because bad can always get good. But when it's confusing and when they don't know what they're doing, it doesn't make sense. It's clear they're not good at their job. They don't know how to get creative. That's a problem, because that can't get to a better product. And that's why it keeps getting worse. And that's why you have decisions like what we saw Saturday with Rollins's goof troop, his heel goon squad beating up John Cena, who's supposed to be one of your top heels. That's why you saw a heel tag team Judgment Day take the tag titles from a heel tag team that didn't even have a title reign in the middle of a Raw last night. That's why in the same show last night, you saw Lyra Valkyria and Bayley face and face, not just having a match, which, by the way, ended with all four shoulders on the mat, on the canvas, and the ref saw it, but counted anyway. Referee Jess, my favorite ref in the business. This is what I mean. This is how Hunter Hearst Helmsley is making even the referees look like idiots. Because Helmsley removed the Vince McMahon rule. McMahon says if the talent doesn't kick out at 3, count anyway, because you don't want to expose the business to that level. So Helmsley comes in and he took the rule off. He told the refs, no, if the planned finish is not for them to be pinned, you stop your count. So how many times in the past year alone have we seen wrestlers miss the 3 count, the kick out, and the ref just holds it up, even though nobody kicked out? A bunch of times. Damian Priest, one of the most notable a few pay-per-views ago, but no, it's happened many times. And then telling referee Jess, we're going to, or the no DQs recently, right? Taking away no DQs. So when somebody comes in, attacks one of the participants, commentators quickly have to go, the match was thrown out. And the referee's like, yep, match thrown out. No, it wasn't. This person was attacked first. That's a DQ. But Helmsley just reinvented the wheel, made his own rules up, took away rules, made new rules. And now, last night, referee Jess is counting Lyra and Bayley's shoulders to the mat. And she saw it and still counted anyway, because the second she was done counting, she jumped right up, went over to the announcer, and had the announcer say, it's a draw. You heard referee Jess audibly on camera say, all 4 shoulders, both individual shoulders down. It's a draw. It's a no contest. What are you then why would you count? You would literally say, no. Shoulders, all shoulders down. You wouldn't count 3 when nobody won. Go back and watch. You'll know what I'm talking about. It wasn't like something where a referee just found out later. Oh, wait, all 4. No, she knew immediately. She counted 3, jumped up, went right to the announcer, and said, all 4 shoulders down. It's a draw. No, it's not. Why would you count? These are things you shouldn't be looking past. How many times you just go, oh, BC, we're nitpicking. Oh, BC, it is what it is. Oh, BC, it's not a big deal. At what point is it a big deal for you? Because then afterwards, Lyra and Bayley started brawling into the audience through the crowd onto tables. You would have thought this is a massive face versus heel multi-month feud. You would have thought this is a diabolical story and feud. It's 2 faces. So watch as they're battling through the audience and the fans don't know who to cheer for. They're like, yeah, Bayley, Lyra, I'm going to the bathroom. They don't know. They're confused. It's called splitting your audience. 2 faces beating the hell out of each other like they're in a multi-month vicious feud. Wouldn't you want to book that to make a heel and make a face in the process? That's how you make characters. That's how wrestlers become something bigger. It's like this company doesn't want you to become bigger than anything. They want to keep you under their thumb. And it's like Hunter's way to do that. Everybody's 50-50 booked. Lyra and Bayley, I couldn't believe anything that happened in the match and then what happened afterwards. I couldn't believe the decision-making in this company. But when you know who's running it and it's Hunter Hearst Helmsley, I guess it makes more sense. It's the only thing that makes sense. The only thing that makes sense is that Helmsley will never make sense. He's the worst booker of all time. And I've seen Kevin Nash. I've seen Hulk Hogan book. And that's rule number 1 in booking and creative. Never give the creative pen to one of the boys. Helmsley is just... Actually, many wrestlers don't even consider him one of the boys. He was always kind of a narc. He was always the rat backstage, taking people like Test out of storyline so he could get in good with Stephanie McMahon. Oh yeah, Helmsley told you that story himself. Cena getting attacked by Seth Rollins Saturday. What? Judgment Day taking the titles from New Day. Heels taking the titles from heels. What was it all for then? No faces got made in this process. For months, the tag titles, that was your payoff? Lyra and Bayley beating the hell out of each other. Why? Who wins in all this when it's all said and done? When you split your audience... and your 2 faces annihilate one another, and one ultimately has to collect the ultimate loss. Who wins in all of this? Ludwig Kaiser is out there as an espresso macchiato latte. Oh, yeah. This is real shit that's happening. I know a lot of you guys didn't watch Raw, and you just listen to BC's reviews. That happened last night. Gable has to get surgery on his arm. And Ludwig Kaiser is kind of listening in on the interview from way in the back, like they give Shinsuke. They always have Shinsuke kind of listening to everybody's interview every Friday. And they had Karrion Kross doing that for months. They just had Ludwig, who's been doing nothing for months. Ludwig's in the back just listening in to everybody's interviews. So then later in the night, Ludwig comes out as a new Grande Americano Espresso Macchiato Latte. Straight from fucking Starbucks. The only difference is that now he's endorsed by Dunkin' Donuts, I'm hearing. So he's going to be Kaiser the Coolata. I'm hearing that's the name that they want to trademark. Kaiser the Coolata. Because there's Ludwig Kaiser. He's the new latte. And he's dressed up as the Americano. I mean, what did this dude do backstage that got him so punished and in the Corey Graves doghouse? It seems like ever since Charlotte Flair, Charlie name dropped them, that was it. Ludwig was in a doghouse ever since, it seems. Not seen, not used, and here you have Ludwig Kaiser coming out as the new latte. They put a goofy mask on Ludwig. What did this dude do to get punished like this? Could you imagine taking a talent like Kaiser and saying you're going to be a masked latte? But don't worry, if we can get this trademark, you'll become a Coolata. That happened last night. Kaiser is the new espresso macchiato. And then Karrion Kross, the aforementioned Karrion Kross, he attacked Sami Zayn with a pipe last night. Is that supposed to make up for his loss on Saturday? Karrion Kross losing on Saturday was a massive booking botch for the ages. Michael Cole said in the pre-show and 5 times during the show, Karrion Kross has to win that match. He said that because we all knew that. Karrion was getting over organically just in backstage segments. I bet you this was Helmsley's way to just say, hey, see, we used him, just like R-Truth in the silly backstage comedy segments. We were using Karrion for weeks and months backstage. And then when it came time to tell him that we're not re-signing his contract, that's what we told him. I think that was Helmsley's plan. He didn't want Karrion around. So Karrion gets over organically just doing these backstage segments. So Helmsley's like, all right, we got to give him a match. Night of Champions, Saturday afternoon, no harm, no foul. And he has him just get beat by Sami Zayn. Michael Cole even said he has to win this match because Karrion has been booked like a bum. When the crowd is trying to tell you, just like we said about LA Knight for years, he's not a bum. He's not a flash in the pan. Go with this guy. Put a piece of the rocket on him. No, you're too busy taking Jason Yeaterman aside and go, oh, we're going to put the whole rocket on you because you got the kids going yeet. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins gets a briefcase, not LA Knight. Sami Zayn picks up a win. Sami Zayn has been picking up wins for over a decade. It doesn't do anything. Sami Zayn is a mid-carder. Get it through the dome piece. The only time he was relevant is when he was with the Bloodline and he was making people like Jey Uso break character and laugh. That was it. Other than that, the 800 matches with Kevin Owens is all you'll remember. Maybe the match he had with the Jackass guy. I think that was a SummerSlam with all the traps and the big mouse trap and all that Jackass stuff. That's it. We like Sami, absolutely. Looks like a regular old guy you'd be passing by when you go to Home Depot and he's working his 9 to 5 shift. Can I help you with anything? We just got a new freshman of wood. And he's beating Karrion Kross. And Helmsley probably told Kross, don't worry, take this L. But on Monday, you'll hit him with a pipe. And all be forgotten. 50-50, book ya. You'll get to when we get to this review, Trish Stratton came back. I'll give you a little spoiler on the spoiler. Stratton and Tiffany, Stratus returned, I should say, to take on Stratton at SummerSlam. Or Evolution, my bad. Jade is taking on Stratton at SummerSlam. But Trish came back last night during the SmackDown 4th of July taping. We'll go over this. And Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus is made for Evolution. Face versus face. For what? They were in a tag team a few months ago, Elimination Chamber. Candice LeRae and Nia Jax, I believe. And so Helmsley's like, all right, well, they were let's just have them face each other now. Well, I can give you a big reason why you don't do that. You're splitting your audience. How many times do I have to say this? So you're not getting the biggest, most bolsterous reaction for a Trish Stratus match. You're diminishing the reaction for Tiffany Stratton. Or, the worst case, one of them totally gets just lambasted and one person gets totally cheered and the other person is... Why would you do that to Trish or Tiffany? Is it so hard to just book heels and faces? But because he knows he can't do it correctly, so he doesn't bother. That takes too much time, energy, and focus, care. And on top of that, it might actually create superstars when you have a face versus a heel. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want anybody thinking they're bigger than the company. Sound familiar? And so this is how everybody's booked. Lyra and Bayley will continue to brawl like it's the most vicious feud ever. Two faces. Trish will come back for a return match to take on another face, Tiffany. I'm giving you, in the past 10, 15 minutes, whatever it's been, I'm giving you a list of things that have happened in the last 48 to 72 hours, the last 2 or 3 days in this company. Night of Champions, Monday Night Raw, and one thing from last night's SmackDown taping. I'm just giving you this past weekend's events and showing you why so many people are leaving the product and saying goodbye. When Helmsley said, fuck off, you're not a real fan, if you don't like it, check out, and they're saying, fine, peace, check you. I'm giving you just a short list of reasons why the fans are telling this company, this ain't just bad, it's confusing, none of it makes sense. And gone are the days of let it play out, or it's long-term storytelling, it'll make sense in time, you gotta have patience. No. It is clear there is no plan for any of this. He doesn't know the meaning of long-term booking or storytelling. I can't believe the decisions that are being made in this company since Helmsley has taken over. But the past couple of days, it has gotten so bad that the company isn't the only thing that needs a break right now for 4th of July vacay. BC and I know a lot of you guys need a break. And this is the time to do it, man. Everybody, and I mean that company, needs to reset. They need to regain focus. Endeavor, Silver Lake, truly. I know Nick Khan's boy is Helmsley, and they feel like nobody could replace him because he was right there with Vince for so many years. So who could possibly replace him with the talent and the creative? Anybody! Anybody who is willing to trade in their crayons and coloring book that Helmsley currently uses for creative and just get a Sharpie and a notepad. That'll be an upgrade. Baby steps. Anybody would be better at this point. I had a lot to say, man. If this is going to be the last upload, which it is for a little bit, until next weekend's big shows, not Paul White, then we're going to talk everything right now, man. We're going to wrap it up with a bow on top. Swig of coffee, and we're going to jump right into SmackDown 7/4/2025. This was your 4th of July edition, taped right after Monday Night Raw. So it is spoilers. These are the results. These are my amplified thoughts. Coffee first. And we're going to kick off with Cody and Randy. How did they do the Randy loss from this past Saturday, right? Did he come back and go into that heel mode? Not at all. In fact, it was the opposite. So Cody Rhodes starts the 7/4/25 4th of July SmackDown. Randy Orton comes out not long after. congratulates Cody on his victory over him. Says he shouldn't have hesitated. But also saw that Cody went for some kind of heel tactics himself. He went for it. Randy didn't. And then Randy Orton has Cody Rhodes promise him that he will beat John Cena at SummerSlam. And they're just mutual respect. Mutual respect, Randy and Cody. Drew McIntyre returned. Drew Mac has not been seen in a bit. Drew comes out and mocks their mutual respect. I love that. Thank you. Somebody. Enough with this mutual respect regurgitated BS. So Drew mocks the mutual respect and subsequently eats an RKO. And that's your segment. Sets up a Randy Orton Drew McIntyre match for next week's Saturday night's main event. If that excites you, cool. If it feels like you've already seen it, you have many times. You just saw it a few months ago, actually. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. You just saw it a few months ago. I think it was the end of March. Maybe right before Mania. A multi-month feud just a few years ago. So, yeah, it's okay. I mean, but if that pumps you up 2025, it's like watching Rusev and Sheamus from last night, and I'm like, it's 2025. You lost Rusev, became Miro. You got Miro back. He's Rusev again. And we're just revisiting a match in a feud from 11 years ago. These two have been in a feud for the last several weeks. They had a match last night, Rusev and Sheamus. They were battling each other for the U.S. title in 2014. So for younger fans, if this is exhilarating, cool. I'm not saying you could never see a rematch again. But damn, man, if that's all you brought him back for... It's like watching Aleister Black come back, and all you had for 2 months was him versus Miz or Mello or Miz and Mello. No, there's no, but BC, it's baby steps, man. He just got back, so they're leading into the really good plans. No, they're not. You would bring somebody in with an ultimate plan from the jump. You strike while the iron is hot. You got one chance to make that first impression. And if you get to come back to the company, somehow you struck gold. You get one more chance to make the first impression. And they botch it with Miz? They redo a Sheamus feud? This is what I mean. Raise your bar and demand more from the company. This is a company who the guy at the head is telling you to fuck off if you don't like this. He's saying you're not even real fans. He talks down to you. And there's so many fans that just take it. Okay, sorry, Mr. HHH. No, absolutely not. If he's gonna talk down to you and treat you like trash, at least give him the same. Demand that he raise his standards in his bar. Don't have him lower yours. So Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. I'm looking ahead. I just don't see a rematch. I also see a situation where none of these dudes can lose. Randy cannot lose again. Randy loses all his big matchups. Drew McIntyre just got back again. You cannot do this dude filthy and have him lose. So do you do another Hunter Hearst Helmsley run-in? A DQ of some sort, but you don't call it a DQ. You just say it's a no contest. The match is thrown out. That way you save face and nobody lost. This is just subpar. Thoughtless booking. Thoughtless. That's the word. I mean, no thought goes into this. It's just like... I mean, this dude just makes matches. Doesn't even care what it leads to. Last second, he'll... That was your opening segment. I have no idea what got accomplished. Drew and Randy got set up for next week's Saturday night, and that's your first 20-some-odd minutes of the show. Thank goodness this was taped, so I can just give you the spoilers, and I can save you 2 hours. Backstage, check this out. I've been telling you guys this was happening, by the way. Some of you guys didn't want to believe it. No, it ain't going to happen, Blaisley. They're going to have them face each other. Nah, it's not going to. Take a breath, relax. Sit back. Listen to BC. Just listen. I wouldn't feed you bull. I'm telling you what is going to happen. I told you from the jump, Alexa and Charlie are becoming a team. Because Charlie did not get the reaction they wanted when she returned. So just like they did with Charlie and Asuka, they're going to have Charlie be linked up with Alexa to try to get some of that Alexa rub, because the company sees the reaction that Alexa gets. They want that for Charlie. Like years ago when Asuka was getting that, and they wanted it for Charlie. So they attached Charlie to Asuka, and she just weighed Asuka down. And Asuka was the Raw champion at that time. And all Charlie did in that tag team was weigh her down, because now they're trying to get Charlie some of that rub, some of that adulation from the fans, but it didn't work. So it just tainted Asuka. A month later, Asuka no longer has the title. You know who did end up with it? Charles. Alexa comes back with all of the fan adulation, man. Fans are really behind Alexa. One of the biggest pops at Royal Rumble for sure. And now they're having Charlie link up with Alexa because Alexa gets a good response. And they want that. So she comes out, Charlie comes back as a face, instantly turns heel like she always does because the crowd rejects her. So then Charlie goes heel. And then all of a sudden she seamlessly once again is turning face. Nobody has turned heel and face more times than Charlie the past 10 years. You could add Kane and Big Show together. And maybe Nia Jax too, but Kane and Big Show had some of the most heel face turns ever. Put them together, they would not equal Charlie Flair. She blows whichever way the wind is blowing is Charlie's heel or face status. And now seamlessly they're making her a tag team with Alexa. And I told you for months now that was going to happen. There was a lot of people that just didn't want to believe that or didn't see that happening. No, BC, I don't see that. Maybe they'll face each other. Well, last night, backstage, you guys will be seeing this on the 4th of July show. Hopefully I'm saving you from seeing that. But Nick Aldis is trying to convince Charlie Flair during this show. Nick Aldis is trying to convince Charlie Flair to tag team with Alexa Bliss and go for the tag titles at Evolution. Charlie Flair finally says fine. And Alexa and Charlie will be in a qualifying match, which we'll get to in a second because that match was next, to go for tag titles. Don't you have so many questions? And we shouldn't, because there's no answers for it. Helmsley doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. To have answers to something, the person would have to have an answer. There's none. We're just doing things erratically. And this is all just so Charlie will be a face again. And she'll be a face because she's going to come out with Alexa and get the cheers. So, Nick Aldis is trying to convince Charlie Flair to be a tag team and go for... Why would a general manager have to try so hard to get somebody to try to go for a championship? Wouldn't it be the talent that wants the championship? BC's over here making sense. What was I thinking? I'm always doing these reviews. I'm always cutting these uploads, and I'm just trying to make sense. What was I thinking? Just go with it. Just go with all the stupidity, like so many others. I can't do that. I can't lower that bar. That bar is stuck up here. The only way that can go is up. Raise your standards. Raise your bar. And then we went right into the matchup, an Evolution Women's Tag Title Qualifier Triple Threat. Charles and Alexa defeat Meechin and BFAB and Piper Niven and Alba Fire of Secret Hervis. So there you go. Alexa and Charlie is officially a tag team. Who called that months ago when Alexa first came across Charlie at that limo on a Monday Night Raw? That was BC. It's not a pat on the back. This is one of those opportunities for BC to show you that when I say something, it's because I'm not just looking about what we're watching now in real time. I'm looking about where it's going. And you can see from a mile away how off the rails it is. I said 2 months ago, I'm like, why would you do Alexa and Charlie? Why are they even teasing that? But then I automatically gave you guys a reason. Alexa has all the adulation right now from the fans. That's what they want for Charlie. So just like that, Charles is once again a face, guys, in a tag team with Alexa. All of that Alexa momentum when she came back, that fan response, all of it. And look what they did to her. They put her in a random tag team with Charlie. The one person on the roster where 10 years later, most of the fans are rejecting. Talk about taking something hot, in this case Alexa, and cooling it off. Spraying her down with a hose. That's Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Now you just saw it yet again in real time. Backstage again, Aldis informs the men's tag team division that one member from each team will face the Wyatts. What? What? And soon, actually it was the next match. The Wyatts defeated Humberto, Montez, Gargano, and Sabin. One member from each of those teams. They all got defeated by the Wyatts. Is that supposed to make us go, oh, the Wyatts are amazing again? That type of booking? They beat somebody from all the other teams? Not all, though, I do have to say, because in 2 segments afterwards, Andrade and Fenix, which is a new team, because they have nothing for Andrade. They have nothing for Fenix. Fenix has not won a singles match in 2 months, so they're like, you know what? Tag up with Andrade. Right, this is Helmsley's way of thinking. You guys speak Spanish, right? You? Do you? Yeah, so just stick together. Yeah, you guys go. That's what he loves to do. You're either the LDF, you're the LWO, or I'll take 2 of you and I'll put you in a... Yeah, Andrade and Ray Fenix. Yeah! I'm sure we're only 2 months away from one of them being a macchiato and the other being an espresso. So that's a new team, and they defeated Fraxiom. What the hell happened to Fraxiom? Fraxiom came on strong, won all of their matches like it meant anything. Just booking an individual or a team to pick up just W's is not enough. You have to have creativity behind it. You have to book them properly. I say it all the time. AJ Styles for years has actually had a lot more W's than L's. So why has he felt irrelevant? Because he's been booked to be irrelevant. W's alone will only take you so far, just like placing titles on somebody. A title won't make the wrestler. The wrestler has to make the title, but the booking and the creative has to meet them halfway. So you have a situation here where Fraxiom came on strong, beat everybody in the whole division, and now they're just taking losses to new teams like Fenix and Andrade. It's like when Motor City showed up and they just won titles out of the blue. How's that working out for them? Nobody cared about them, did they? Nobody still cares about them. Because Helmsley took the bare minimum of creative, which was none. He's like, you know what we'll do? The second you get there, we'll put titles on you. Fraxiom shows up. You know what we'll do? We'll just have you win all your matches. But I won't get creative. I won't give you real stories. Every single Friday night, every team just go out there and brawl one another. That's your story. So every week, you have all the teams brawling one another. How does that make anybody relevant? I say, you could have a toddler with a crayon and a coloring book, and they would book better than this. But that's your men's tag team division last night. Backstage. Oh, no, we already did that, right? That set up the... Yeah. That set up the Wyatts matchup. So then what we did was we went to an in-ring promo with Tiffany Stratton. Jade Cargill would come out. We talked some SummerSlam matchup. Tiffany versus Jade. In case you're wondering, that is face versus face. Tiffany and Jade, they're both faces. That's your SummerSlam match. As if you ain't getting enough of that from Lyra and Bayley and everybody else, you're going to get the same thing with Tiffany and Jade. Face versus face. Where's all the heel women at, man? Chelsea could be giving you amazing work right now. And so many others. They just refuse to book properly. With so much epic women talent right now in WWE and across NXT, this is what we're getting. A face versus face SummerSlam matchup. But that's not the most mind-boggling of this. Trish Stratus returned in this segment. And a match is set up for Evolution. Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus. So before you get to the Tiffany face versus face Jade match at SummerSlam, you're going to get a Tiffany face versus face match at Evolution with Trish Stratus. So basically, the entire summer of 2025, Trish Stratus's bulk of her title reign will have nothing to do with a heel. Some regurgitated matches with Nia Jax on SmackDown. We've seen 10 of those. That's it. Nia Jax will be it. Naomi? Probably should have been. But you put the briefcase on her now, and now that becomes a cash-in scenario. So what you did is you kind of handcuffed Naomi from having a really kick-ass feud with Tiffany. The briefcase takes her out of that. Unless you give Naomi a title match while she has the briefcase, kind of defeats the purpose. This is what I mean when you don't plan ahead, when you don't really think about how you're booking, and when you don't put creativity behind any of this, this is what you end up with. Trish and Tiffany. Tiffany and Jade. You need a good heel to work with. For Tiffany to truly get to that next level, any good face, they need a good diabolical heel to work with. I say it all the time on this channel. That's what Helmsley had. Vince McMahon booked Helmsley correctly. That's the only reason Helmsley got over. Helmsley would have still been that skinny little kid taking on Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 12. Hunter Hearst Helmsley from Greenwich, Connecticut, drinking his tea with his pinky up. Vincent Kennedy McMahon knew how to book him, though, and with the right people, how to build faces like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Rock Taker, and more. And how to elevate those faces, you put them with a diabolical heel. So Vince had to make that. So he created Triple H and many others. So it's asinine that H knows this and proceeds to book like this. This is what I mean about internal sabotage. Because he knows what needs to be done, and he refuses. So instead of giving Tiffany Stratton top heels to work with throughout the summer and throughout her title reign, she gets nothing but baby faces. So when she finally loses the title and you look and you go, well, did she really get elevated throughout this whole title reign? I don't think so. Who's to blame? Tiffany? No, Helmsley. That's who's to blame. And then Jacoby, swig of coffee. Jacoby and Jimmathy defeat Solo and Mateo. What? That's it. Were you expecting more? Jacoby, Jacob Fatu, and Jimmathy Uso defeat Solo Sikoa and Jesse Mateo. That's it. That was your main event. That's what I mean by that's it. The show goes off the air, you're done. Thanks to Fightful for all this, by the way. Fightful came through, and some of the segments that I was not able to get word on, Fightful filled in the gaps. So a lot of this from the folks over at Fightful. Thank you. Jacoby and Jimmathy defeat Solo Mateo. That's it. The show goes off the air. That's your main event. That's your main event. You wait 2 hours to watch Fatu and Uso, Jim Uso, versus Solo and Mateo. 4 mid-carders. Where's the main event scene? You caught Raw, and if you didn't catch Raw, you know what your main event was? 4 mid-carders, a mid-card tag team match just like SmackDown. Penta, Samuel Zayn, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. Where's the main event scene? That's how bad the main event scene is. I remember when you had a main event scene like Kurt Angle, Undertaker, Rock, Austin. It was so many, man. Shawn Michaels was still bouncing around. Bret Hart. I mean, it was a main event. The whole show just was infiltrated with main eventers. But the company doesn't even make superstars anymore. Actual superstars, larger than life. They don't do that anymore. It's by design. And lack of knowledge on how to do such. So this whole week's main events are just mid-card tag team matches. All right. Because what's the only other excuse you can give, right? They're main eventers, basically. Okay, what? News to me. So Penta's already a main eventer? Samuel Zayn? That's who's supposed to fill arenas and sell all the tickets, and you're supposed to spend the money on the PLEs and to watch Samuel Zayn? Braun Breaker? Bronson? Maybe one day if booked correctly. Don't hold your breath on it. Maybe one day they can become. Sami, I don't know. We've already seen him in main events. It just doesn't work. But are you telling me that's the top of the main event scene right now? Or on this SmackDown, Jim Uso, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and JC Mateo. That's your main event scene? I'm going to go with option A. I'm going to go with the former. and say that it's because there is no main event scene these days. John Cena's beyond part-time. The only one more part-time is Roman Reigns. The other world championship, you have 58-year-old part-timer Goldberg. Who's your main event scene? There is none. Cody and Randy. Jason Yeterman, right? That tells you everything you need to know on why this product is going backwards. Why the ratings are in the toilet, why everything seems confusing and nothing makes sense, and all this is just, it's a shit show. Jason Yeterman is one of your main eventers. And that is SmackDown 7/4/25. Your 4th of July edition. So, if you're totally bored, you have nothing to do, check it out. I would advise you just yeah. Don't even bother. It's clear the company ain't going to bother. I wouldn't even bother. I just saved you a few hours. Guys, that's going to be it, man. BC's going to take off for a while, man, for several days, week. We'll definitely be covering everything leading into next weekend. So stay locked on the channel for sure. Subscribe, notified, smash that up, do all the things. But this is a good time. If the company is going to just take off, we should too. That's going to be it for a little bit. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Next week at some point, we will reconvene and rock this wrestling world out like we usually do. So until next time, and there will be that next time, BC and the unit, let me give you one big final swig for the foreseeable future. All right, guys. This is going to be a big swig for the rest of the week. Knock it out. Enjoy your holidays. If you're not from the States, you don't enjoy 4th of July, celebrate not having to watch SmackDown this week. Salute.